Hi, this is Guy and Paul from HWM. We're going to be talking you through DBX engine and powertrain. So DBX is fitted with a 4-litre twin-turbo V8 engine, and this is an engine that was sourced from AMG. Now, one of the things about the AMG setup and the way that they build their engines is they are hand-built, so it's in keeping with the Aston Martin philosophy. One man or woman builds this engine from start to finish. And it's a unique spec engine, so Aston have been able to prescribe exactly what they wanted out of an engine for DBX, and so this configuration in terms of its specification is unique to the DBX. And it puts out 550 PS and, just as importantly, 700 Newton meters of torque. So as you can see here, Paul, it's one thing you notice straight away is just the way that the engine is mounted. So you can see that it's further back. Aston have done all that they can to mount it as low and as far back as possible, and that's something we tend to see throughout the sports car range as well, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, and a lot of painstaking effort has gone in to get the weight distribution of this car just perfect. And one of the challenges that Aston have was to, where to put the engine, how far back. So I think they've done an incredible job.
And it's interesting you say that. So in terms of its weight distribution, it's got probably the most balanced weight distribution in class, and you really notice that when you drive the car on the road.
It's phenomenal.
Fantastic. So in terms of engine, it's then attached to a 9-speed automatic. So typically with an Aston we have gearboxes at the rear, but on DBX it's actually attached to the engine. So it's a more sort of compact setup. Interestingly, in terms of the way the car is set up dynamically as well, the big thing with DBX is that Aston have gone to great lengths to build their own platform.
Yeah, brand new from the ground up.
And I think that's something that's probably invisible to the naked eye when you approach the car, but where you really notice it is in the way that the car drives, because Aston have been able to specify a platform that is exactly right for the needs of the product. So if we look around the car, I mean, first of all, it's got triple airbag suspension.
Yes.
In fact, it's got the most advanced suspension in class.
It has.
It can feed power to the rear wheels in terms of it's kind of a rear wheel bias car that then, when you need a bit of grip at the front, it moves it forwards, which I think is one of the reasons why perhaps as guys who know their sports cars well are more natural a habitat. When we drive a DBX, it feels very much like a sports car because you've got this great weight distribution, low centre of gravity for an SUV.
Yeah, couldn't agree more.
And then it's feeding power to the rear wheels.
It does, and it deploys power, and similar to the traction control. So it deploys power to whatever wheel, at whatever rate it needs. It's super clever, and yeah, I agree. It feels like driving one of our sports cars.
For sure. So in terms of ride height, we've got it in its second to lowest ride height position, so it's got the ability to go down 15 millimeters twice in terms of sportiness, but also for loading and access.
Yeah.
But it can also raise up 45 millimeters?
Yes, it can, yeah, 45, yeah. And another cool feature, which I'm sure we'll get onto at the back of the car, is actually you can lower the back of the vehicle as you're loading things in manually without compromising the rest of the ride height. I'm sure we'll come onto that, but it's just a great feature.
It really is, yeah, it is useful. I think the other thing, just final thing worth mentioning with this V8 engine, there are various modes that change the noise levels. It certainly sounds like an Aston Martin from the off, but Aston Martin have also spent a lot of time making sure that the cabin is as quiet as possible, even down to noise reducing tyres on the vehicle. So it's a great long distance car, but there's an option of an Aston Martin sports exhaust as well. So if you want a bit more of an acoustic sound to go with the vehicle, then you can tick that option.
You can, yeah, completely. It just strikes me with this car actually that every single detail on this vehicle, whether it be cabin space, road noise, everything has the driver at the heart. Everything is built, engineered and constructed around the passengers. It's super cool.
You're absolutely right, and I think the big thing for every Aston Martin is this phrase that they use, which is breadth of ability. So what you have is that car that you can tighten up, switch it into a sport mode, and it becomes a really dynamic car to drive, but equally you can soften it off. A tremendous amount of attention's been put into keeping the cabin quiet. It can be that luxurious, comfortable, long distance GT car stroke SUV.
Yeah, agree.
There we go. That's powertrain and chassis for DBX. So one of the things that Aston Martin have done to make sure that DBX is as dynamic as possible is first manage weight very carefully. So this car weighs approximately 2,250 kilograms, and that makes it one of the lightest cars in class. Still a relatively heavy car, being a big performance SUV, but relatively speaking for the class, actually it's a lightweight vehicle, and you definitely feel that dynamically. Now the other thing that Aston Martin have done is they've fitted some fantastic brakes to DBX. So it runs 410mm 6-pot calipers at the front, and it gives it incredible braking power. So interestingly, when this car was tested at the Nürburgring, it was showing braking performance that was equal to, if not slightly better than, the DBS Superleggera, which is a lighter car fitted with carbon ceramics. So that's pretty impressive. The other thing that they found when cornering at the Nürburgring in testing, DBX was able to corner as quickly as Vantage, our sportiest model. So it's an amazing chassis. Now also from a brake point of view, there are no carbon ceramic brakes available on this car. One, because these do such a good job as it stands, but also in the SUV market, carbon ceramic brakes are typically a little bit more susceptible to damage with grit, mud and so on. So these are a really practical ownership option as well.